Honest J. Nowak. Oh yeah. A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to Honest J. Nowak. And so, what I'm going to be doing here on Honest J. Nowak is that I'm actually going to be going for some false advertising. Now, false advertising out there, I have literally been seeing plenty of that stuff out there. False advertising left and right. And of course, there have been lots of other people who have already pointed out some things out there based on false advertising in general, but there's been a lot that have happened to me that I feel like I needed to get it out of my system right away. So first off, what I'm going to say real quick is that for Henry's hard sparkling water out there that has been advertised on television with 88 calories, I can tell you right away that that is actually a complete total fraud right there. Because 88 calories, how on earth would you be able to have a number that is not a 5 or a 10 based on calorie counting? It's not entirely possible to be safe or to be exact out there to have a calorie counting that would end in anywhere but a 5 or a 10. Because the majority of foods and drinks that we see out there in today's lifestyle happen to have calorie counts that end in a 5 or a 10, or 100 or 1,000, but that's pretty much about it. It doesn't really end in an even number or an odd number that is not 5, but the fact is that Henry's hard sparkling water had been advertised at 88 calories. The way I see this right now, they're off quite a bit. Because Henry's hard sparkling water, last time I looked on the label of one of their packagings for Henry's hard sparkling water multi-packs, is that it's not even close to 88 calories. It's at least 85. That's pretty much about it. It would be at 90 or even 95 depending on the type of flavor you choose, which of course the flavor can affect the calorie buildup, but the fact is that Henry's hard sparkling water's advertisement that took place in recent times at 88 calories as it was advertised on television, that's a lie right there. Here's another one though, because I'm not even close to being done yet. There was a recent documentary based on the lifestyle and acting career of actor Heath Ledger, who died in 2008 at age 29. And now, this is actually where it gets to be a little worse here, because the recent documentary about Heath Ledger has advertised on cable news networks, especially on DirecTV, that apparently Heath Ledger died in 2008 at age 32. And can you trust that something out there actually exists? I can trust that because I have seen it a lot. I have seen that info on the documentary itself, the description of it more to be exact, more times than I've actually watched the documentary itself. Heath Ledger was described as being dead at 32, meaning that Ledger would have been born in 1976. But that's a lie. Another lie on television. Because Heath Ledger was actually born in 1979, not 1976. And the fact that Heath Ledger actually died in 2008 instead of anywhere else is actually still pretty darn true there, but Heath Ledger was not 32 at the time of death. Ledger was 29, actually. So, the fact that Ledger lived from 1979 to 2008 at age 29 right there, that is right there. That is the truth. But the fact that there was advertisements that showed how a documentary described that Heath Ledger was 32 at the time of death, that's another fraud right there. A complete and total fraud that should have left anyone in prison for accusations of fraud, you know, on a similar level of insurance fraud, but still, that's a hardcore lie right there. And that could go like hand in hand with how many other lies I could probably talk about in terms of false advertising, like in a Bruce Lee DVD collection where there is a Game of Death 2 disc involved in that Bruce Lee collector series, and that the disc says starring Bruce Lee. And Bruce Lee never even got featured in Game of Death 2, as Game of Death 2 only included footage of Bruce Lee because it was leftover stock footage. It doesn't actually star Bruce Lee! But Enter the Dragon and Game of Death 1 did star Bruce Lee. And you could trust me or not, but Bruce Lee was only in Game of Death 1 for some time before dying in 1973 from cerebral edema at age 33. And that right there, I mean, that was a total lie right there too. The fact that Game of Death 2 was included in a collector's edition instead of Enter the Dragon in a Bruce Lee collection starring some of the best Bruce Lee movies of the Dragon franchise. And that right there is a third lie that I'm mentioning in this episode, but again, there's lots of other things that I would want to point out here, but I'm already wasting a lot of time by just going into details so often and so deep that I'm probably going to blow myself up if I continue going on this path right here. So I'm going to have to cut the camera right now and probably just take a little break right there because this has all just been so awful the way I see it. So awful. But now, if you want to see more, go down to my channel. Make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.